Can ancient crystals control time and space? Is the Earth's core full of spiders? All of these questions you can find the answer to on this Paranormal Life! I feel like that gets louder every episode.
I can't hear anything, Rory.
Welcome to This Paranormal Life, the comedy paranormal podcast where every week we investigate a brand new paranormal tale, claim, beast, and come to a conclusion within the hour, usually, as to whether or not it is real or it is false.
That's right.
My name is Rory Paranormal Powers. This guy's name is Kit Greer, and we're going to be your chief investigators today on the case of a lifetime.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's not every day you get a golden nugget like this dropped right on your lap. But here we are.
Are you serious? Because we've been doing the show for 2 years. So you're saying
we've seen it all. Bronze nuggets.
Mostly bronze and actually wooden nuggets.
Yeah.
But you're saying this is the case that's going to keep us into old age for the next 98 years?
This is the start of a multi-part series, I think. And we have Nemo B to thank for it.
All right.
There's one of our listeners who emailed us in to thisparanormallifepodcast@gmail.com. Nemo B said, subject, suggestion, and the contents, 3 words. The Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Okay.
Consider me interested, Nemo.
Yeah, straight to the point. See all these people out there saying stuff like, hey, love
guys,
the show, long-time listener.
I'm such a huge fan.
Deleted, archived.
You took too long. Oh, Rory, I love you so much. You're
Mark
my favorite.
the spam.
Get out of here. Oh, I actually signed up a couple months ago and I haven't received any of my Patreon bonuses. F*** off. Not interested. 3 words, baby. The Fresno Nightcrawlers. That's all we want to hear. So immediately I dropped everything in my life. Everything. My job, my kids, my car. Left it all out in the wild. I think you were looking after
your sister's newborn as well. I was
irrelevant. 3 words I said to that little bastard.
Cushion underneath him at the time.
I drove that sucker out to the woods, pushed him into the car, looked him in the eyes and said, the Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Didn't understand.
He didn't understand. He was confused, but it's fine, all right? We're going to get into this case right now. No more dilly-dally. The year is 2007.
Wow.
And we're in, you guessed it, Fresno, California. One of the most diverse cities in America, and the city that started the raisin industry.
Oh, because everyone had California raisins.
Yeah, that's not relevant to the story. It's just an interesting fact I found out about.
I'd like to talk more about the raisins.
They're actually pretty paranormal. They're the ghosts of grapes, so that's pretty relevant. A man named Jose is living in a peaceful suburban neighborhood, but despite his idyllic surroundings, there's something that keeps him up at night. His dogs.
Oh.
Every night when the neighborhood is asleep, his dogs go crazy and start barking. Now this goes on long enough that eventually Jose snaps and thinks, look, they gotta be barking at something. Maybe a stray animal, possibly even an intruder. So he decides to set up a security camera above his garage overlooking the front of his house to find out finally what's going on.
2 nights later, they're just asshole dogs.
Yeah.
They're just idiots.
Well, that night, Jose is asleep in bed. And just like every night, he wakes up to the dogs barking outside. So the next morning, he loads up the recording to find out what was going on. And Jose can't believe his eyes. He calls the police immediately and tells them what he saw. A white, ghost-like figure that would soon be known as the Fresno Nightcrawler. Wow. You could throw in like a lightning bolt sound effect or something, or like a cougar roar, a whip, anything like that would be fantastic. Or all 3 at once.
Okay,
in
on
3, 2, 1. Everyone tunes out. That was the most horrible noise they've ever heard.
We thought it couldn't get any louder than the intro, and yet.
So Jose calls the police. Now, like almost every case of calling the police to report something paranormal, they could not give less of a shit.
No. They turn up, Starbucks in one hand, donut in the other, just going, let's get this over with.
Yeah. They're real life cops. They're going to focus on real life problems. If your phone was stolen, that's a police matter. If your phone was stolen by the chupacabra, that's out of their hands now. It's paranormal. It's not none of their business.
It's at least the manufacturer's problem.
Yeah. If you want someone to solve this, you need to get ghost cops.
Yeah.
which are cops that have been killed in the line of duty, enlist their help and their services to hunt ghost criminals.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it is often the ghost cops who are causing the problem, just because the afterlife sucks and they're just firing blanks into the sky, that sort of situation. So now you need a crooked ghost cop to take down the regular ghost cops, and all of a sudden you've got a problem that's too big to keep.
Did you know that
handling.
when you start a new job, you get a starter form? That contract isn't voided if you die.
No,
You still gotta keep
you got to do that
working.
job in the afterlife.
Yeah.
After receiving little help from the authorities, Jose brought the footage he captured to the television network called Univision, hoping that they could provide some answers. But Jose demanded that his face never appeared on camera and they never use his full name in an attempt to distance himself and his family from the incident.
Oh, weird. Why do you think like he just didn't want to get too many, I don't know, like paranormal wackos calling him up?
I guess so.
Myself included.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. I couldn't find him. Obviously, he's a smart man to hide his face. This is kind of what we like to see in paranormal stories, which is someone, even if they do end up going to a television network, trying to distance themselves from the situation, refusing to use any of their personal information. Because the flip side of this is, there's another universe where Jose wrote a book about the experience, and he has a TV show where he travels America trying to hunt this creature.
You know what? An ebook.
An ebook, a podcast, possibly. Yeah. But what we're seeing here is him actually trying to stay out of it, get this information out here, but stay in the shadows.
I have to respect that because that does seem like something a level-headed person would do.
Yeah. I mean, it's what we do. We get this information out to the public, but we stay in the shadows like little goblin men, hiding. No one can see our hideous, paranormal, warped faces.
You think this is our real voices? This is us talking through a Darth Vader toy.
So the news crew showed up at his home, and after trying and failing to copy the footage from an old VHS tape, they just recorded the video straight from the screen.
Fair enough.
And now the world had it. The mind-bending footage captured that night. Video evidence of the existence of the Fresno Nightcrawler.
This is so exciting. Can I just say that we're getting into physical evidence already? This is insane.
It's a golden nugget, my
to
friend.
100.
This is what I'm saying.
Real quick.
Oh yeah, Roswell's pretty good. Why don't you hear a story about a guy who knew a guy who once saw a picture of the thing? I have a video of the Nightcrawler right here in front of me, and I'm going to show it to you.
I cannot wait.
Are you ready to have your world shattered?
This video is only 18 seconds long, so it's going to be packing a punch.
You only need a second to change the world, all right? Check this out. This is the footage that was recorded that night.
All right. What?
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Can we get a repeat on that? So there's nothing for about the first 5 seconds, and then something starts to appear in the top left corner. It's essentially a pair of white trousers walking of their own accord, but very creepily.
Yeah, not even like they have human legs in them. They're a bit wavy.
Yeah, almost like trousers without legs in them.
Yeah.
What the f*** is that? So that was recorded straight from... So that was his camera plugged into a TV, and then they filmed it off that. Is that right?
Yes, that's why the resolution is kind of shoddy. I mean, this was in 2007. It should be a lot clearer.
It should be shot on an iPhone.
It should be a TikTok video, essentially. Witnesses have described the Nightcrawlers as 4-foot creatures that don't appear to have any arms. They're white in color and bipedal, which seems to imply that they are somewhat humanoid.
There's something humanoid-like, yeah.
If we had to describe them, you pretty much hit the nail on the head here. This is like a pair of baggy sweatpants, a sentient pair of baggy sweatpants flapping down the street in a really strange way. I think people have examined the footage more closely, and apparently you can see a little head with eyes at the top.
I would have thought that, yeah. It looks like there's something there for sure.
It's very hard to describe. It's not the name Nightcrawler sounds like it is a 10-foot beast rocking a 6-pack, 2 cannons for biceps, claws as sharp as a vampire stake, and just ready to rip anything to shreds.
Of course.
This is a pair of pajama bottoms floating down the street like a jellyfish.
It is a bit crawly though, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory name, I guess.
Yeah, but it even sounds sinister. Night crawlers?
Yeah.
This thing doesn't crawl.
It creeped me out, though. It creeps me out because it's just like floating silently. It's moving kind of like it's moving kind of like an old Steamboat Willie cartoon or something.
It is, yeah.
It's like in 120. It's like the first time you saw The Hobbit in 60 frames per second mode. It's going a little too smooth.
It's also like, if you see a ghost of a human, you kind of know what you're dealing with here. It's probably someone who died in this general area who hasn't passed on because of regrets he has involving the location. If you see this jellyfish man floating towards you, what are you gonna do? What does it want? I have no idea how I would handle this situation.
I think that's what's creepy about it. It looks very otherworldly, I'll say.
Definitely. Not something that you would make up either.
No.
What a weird design for a spirit. The footage aired on Univision and immediately took off, going viral on paranormal blogs and news outlets all over the world, being referred to officially as the Fresno Nightcrawler. It eventually caught the attention of Fact or Faked, a popular American show that, similar to us, sets out to prove or disprove paranormal events.
So Bill, tell me about your case today.
Well, this particular video has been making the rounds at some of the paranormal conferences, and it's gotten really popular. This was recorded in Fresno in 2007. Let me cue it up because I think it speaks for itself.
Hey.
There's a creature coming from the top left of the screen. I don't know what it is, but it's not like any of the other cryptoids or Bigfoot or anything else we've seen before.
Is that a word? Cryptoid?
I have no idea.
Hey, this isn't the same footage we saw.
This is the extended cut.
Oh, okay, cool.
Very long. Notice that it has a head.
I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, me neither.
It's weird. I don't know what else to call it.
Now, what's this one coming in here?
Oh my God!
There's a second
What's he doing?
Anatomically speaking, I've never seen anything that looks like either of these figures before.
No, I've never seen anything like it. Where was it walking toward?
I don't know where it was.
Towards the 7-Eleven, Chris, I think.
In response to what you're saying too, I forwarded a copy of this clip to Animal Control in Fresno. They have never seen anything like this, and nothing else has been reported like it in the area.
I just love it's like, wow, that is so weird. And then one guy was like, where was it going? What the are you talking about?
He's the kind of guy that I feel like in all the investigations ask the really stupid questions that they have to just talk quickly to like glaze over so that no one really acknowledges it. So it's like, so there we have the footage of Bigfoot. As we can see, he's going through the cars. Obviously, this is a paranormal heightened area where we've seen a lot of...
What kind of mood do you think he was in?
Right, of course, that's one thing to take into consideration, but I think right now we have to focus more on why the creature's
Do you
here.
think he has any siblings?
What kind of car does he drive? I also like the idea that part of their research into the case was to contact the animal control in Fresno and be like, is this an animal?
They're like, you should at least know about animals before you become a they said cryptoid, by the way.
Which I don't think is a word. But I think if you say anything that fast with that kind of music behind it, anyone's going to believe you.
So he doesn't look like any kind of flumper snatch I've ever seen before.
As you can see, we captured the footage on the Zombobulator, and you're hitting 10-7s across the board. Yeah, I'd pay to hear what that conversation was like. Because if you're a professional person who's working in animal control, and someone shows up and is like, "What is this?" I'd be like, "It's like a bed sheet. I don't know. Do you think it's alive?" I would be so confused as to what's happening.
I feel like we're also not getting the full conversation that they had with animal control, because the conversation probably really went something like, "What is this? I don't know, a fake video?" Like, okay, but if it wasn't fake, what would you say it was? Geez, I don't know. It's not an animal.
That's all we needed. We got the voice clip.
Sucker.
Well, the team at Fact or Faked decided, we're giving them some grief, but they did some amazing work. The team decided that there was a number of ways that this footage could have been faked.
Okay.
CGI,
Sure.
puppets on a string, trousers animated using wire.
Very true.
But after trying a number of times to replicate the footage, they realized it was a lot harder than they originally thought.
That's pretty interesting. I'll take the L here. I'm often here running my mouth.
You and me both, brother.
Saying, it's faked footage, bro. It's faked. Yeah, Nothing else for it. That 60-year-old woman, she faked the footage, bro. She downloaded Adobe After Effects, bro, and she just faked it.
We can say these things.
But like, it's not that easy. As Fact or Fakes just said, it's like, okay, if it's faked, what is it?
Yeah.
Is it CGI? Because that's pretty hard to do.
If you're going to have the balls to say that something is fake, you better have an explanation as to how it's been faked.
Yeah, and like, if this person who's got the footage is like a rancher, they're probably not experts in like stop motion cinema or something.
Yeah.
So Fresno team, tell me about your investigation.
It started off with a really good witness interview, Jose, the homeowner.
Did Jose seem like a credible witness to you?
Most certainly. He was a great witness. All right, he says he heard his dogs barking. He went, looked out his window, didn't see anything. This whole interview is just full of truth.
So you don't think that this could have been a hoax at all?
If it was, he wasn't in on it.
Well, if it's not paranormal and it is a hoax, then somebody must have pulled it on Jose. So we put that to the test, and we came up with a couple of ideas on how we could replicate the video. So one of them, the simplest one, was that it was simply a child walking across the yard. And even though we found a kid that was about the right height, it was simply too big. So next was like maybe it was a puppet. So we built a mechanized puppet and we moved it on a pulley system across the yard. The problem with using the pulley system is that the puppet tended to sort of bounce because of the length of the rope. Then we moved on to, well, maybe Larry can sort of walk the mechanized puppet across the yard on a pole. So we did that, and then I removed Larry's image in the edit bay.
Within an hour, my walkie batteries died, and then our camera started to go out.
We had our thermal camera with us, and we turned it on, and here's what we got on camera. We can't say right now that we know this was faked.
You weren't able to prove the video was hoaxed, so I say this is unexplainable. Great job, guys.
There we go.
So Fact or Faked are saying it's unexplainable?
Unexplainable after all of their attempts to recreate the footage through an array of different techniques. They couldn't do it. They couldn't replicate the footage.
That's pretty nuts. I do have to hand it to them. They tried a number of different techniques. A couple of them came pretty close. Like, they were decent attempts. But as they pointed out, it's still nowhere near the fluid motion and sort of, eeriness of the original video.
Yeah, definitely. So we've looked at the video of this thing moving. We've looked at, some of the possible ways this could be faked. And the conclusion was that essentially it couldn't have been. So what the hell is this thing, Kit? There's a lot of different opinions on the matter. Some people believe it's some kind of peaceful alien. Some people believe it's a ghost or a spirit. But one of the most popular theories links the Nightcrawlers to Native American legend.
Ooh.
According to the site Ranker.com, tribe members that live near Fresno have said that the Nightcrawlers are beings that have always lived on Earth, even before human beings got here. According to the myths, the Nightcrawlers have long legs that allow them to move through difficult or boggy landscapes because they are swamp world beings.
Whoa.
Now, I tried to follow the hyperlink to the Swamp World mythology. The link was broken.
Okay. It got lost in the swamp somewhere.
So I Googled Swamp World. Nothing came up.
Right.
I don't know what the Swamp World is.
It's kind of they kind of just made like a crazy open-ended statement, did a mic drop and walked off with dozens of reporters like
asking
wanting follow-up questions.
I guess, just based on the name alone, it kind of makes sense. If this is a creature based in the swamp world,
right?
It makes perfect sense that it would want to leave and come to Earth. Because the swamp world sounds like shit. I'll be honest with you. It sounds damp. It sounds muddy. And if I had long, beautiful white legs like that, I don't want to get them covered in mud.
It's very true. Yeah, and those swamp world beings probably learned that there's such things as like 5-star hotels these days. You don't need to live in a swamp. You could, in fact, if money was no object, live in the lap of luxury.
Yes.
In the modern world.
Exactly. And we're very lucky in our world that we have swamps, but the world itself is not a swamp.
That's right. You always have the option to go to a swamp whenever you want.
Yeah, if you do so want to visit a swamp. But, when 24/7, day after day, you're in the swamp world, that can get probably a little bit grating after a while.
That's pretty interesting, though, that they came up with that. I could probably see why it might be hard to trace that information. I'm sympathetic. Whenever I investigated the mountain devils of...
When I investigated the frog people of Swamp World, I actually found it pretty hard to get any solid evidence.
I investigated literal mud. Whenever I investigated the mountain devils of Mount St. Helens, for those who don't remember that episode, it's a fun investigation. I recommend looking back at that. It was a couple of weeks ago. But one of the twists was that it turned out that similar to this story, the Native Americans of that area already knew about this creature and had a kind of lore. But one of the kind of confusing aspects is that it seems to be the kind of nomenclature, the names that each tribe would give to that being might vary from town to town or area to area. So it can be a little tricky to read up on.
Yeah, because obviously the news stations that had to run this story, they wanted a sexy name like Nightcrawler.
Sure.
Whereas, probably Native Americans wouldn't have called it that, wouldn't have given it such a sexy name.
Yeah, I mean, a headline saying, swamp beast seen, I mean, it might
That's going to sell some papers, honestly.
It would have got a few clicks.
Yeah. According to the site, legend has it that the beings are part of our world in order to rebuild a connection between human beings and our natural surroundings as sort of a peace bringer. While they don't seem to have made any noticeable efforts of doing this so far, the fact that stories about them have existed for generations indicates they might be nothing new to Fresno. Paranormal enthusiast and founder of Weird Fresno, Michael Banty, said, "They're like a dictionary of different cryptids or strange creatures. Like, there's Bigfoot and the Chupacabra, but there's never been this before. No one has really been able to determine what it is. They remind me of fairy people or an extraterrestrial insectoid." Nightcrawlers like this one seen in Jose's video have been reported a number of times. The other biggest sighting being in March 2011 at Yosemite National Park. Caretakers had set up cameras to try and catch vandals at night, but instead captured 2 Nightcrawlers making their way through the woods.
Holy shit.
And once again, we have the footage.
Really? I'm so excited. Let's see it.
So here we have what looks like night vision footage almost of Yosemite Park.
Yeah.
With 2 creepy white leg-like figures walking across the field.
They're unmistakably the same being. The little nub head on top, and then 2 kind of harem pants just walking along. This time a lot less smooth, a lot more kind of like actual human walking.
Yeah.
Although a little more creepy. Oh, is that a little baby one? There's a little tiny one.
I don't know if that's a baby or if he was just further away. I don't know if it's a perspective thing.
Are you sure that was official footage?
What are you trying to say?
It seemed...
Sorry, just watch yourself, all right?
Okay.
Because you ask for evidence every time we do this show. You ask for it, and then I give you it. I give you a golden nugget.
Opened my mouth, and you're saying watch yourself like some sort of threat.
If it's not you agreeing with me, and I don't want to.
I've agreed with you so far.
I don't want to come off as like aggressive or scared or defensive or insecure. But if you criticize the footage, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Okay, well, let me just get the thought out.
Right, sorry.
You're gonna go what?
Buck wild. I'm going to go buck wild. With the slightest little note.
This isn't a pitch. There aren't notes.
I just, so many cases we struggle to get good evidence. What I wouldn't kill for video footage of Roswell. What I wouldn't kill for
some
video
weird,
footage.
Like intimidation kind of racket. It's like you're trying to get me to agree to your point with the threat of violence.
I'm just saying, you know what? It's fine. I'll keep it chill. I'll keep it low down.
Just until I get the thought out. Yeah. How about that? And then we can go from there.
You know what? This is what this podcast is about, is different opinions.
Yeah.
And 2 minds.
Couldn't agree more.
Talking about the paranormal and coming to a conclusion. Yeah. So, shoot.
It looks a tiny bit staged.
Are you kidding me?
Dude.
It's footage
going so
from
red.
Yosemite National Park.
That's not how you say it.
It's footage of too clearly. Did you see the baby, sir? They obviously have genitals and they can bang. That's why there's a baby one.
You said it was far away. It wasn't a baby.
I'm meeting you halfway, pal. All right. You said that there was a baby one. I'm saying there's a baby one now. Maybe you'll believe me if I say there's a baby one.
I liked the video.
Okay. That's important. That's good.
Yeah.
That actually really... That means a lot to me. That helps me. Should we move on? Or do you want to say some other stuff about how much you love the video?
Fine, let's just move on.
If you want to, do you want to talk about the video?
I don't want to say how much I love the video because I don't love the video.
Well, I will say that the video has 308 thumbs up and only 20 thumbs down. So you're in the minority. Congratulations, pal.
Okay.
That's just fact.
Can you show me the video? Can you prove to me that it has those thumbs up and thumbs down?
I closed the tab because I thought the conversation was over.
Shift Apple T, it'll open it again.
Shift Apple what now?
T.
That was the power button. I accidentally turned it off. So that's that done. That's my notes gone.
You know what? Let's just move on.
We have 2 videos. That's 2 more than we usually have. Showing the Nightcrawler in action. Yes, the second one has largely been debunked as a hoax.
Wow. Wow.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
You know what? I'm going to go buck wild. I started kicking shit.
With 2 white legs. Kicking everything over. Yeah, the second one, that's not real, man. I don't know what that is, but that's not real.
Yeah.
If you watch these 2 videos, the first footage of the Nightcrawler, I mean, this is the one that launched the investigation. It's the most famous one.
Sure.
It's the one that even creates the argument as to whether or not this thing is real. From that point onward, yes, the creature has been seen a number of times in CCTV all over the world. But I mean, it's not the same. It's very much copycat footage, people trying to replicate the look of this weird figure traveling. And even in that second one at Yosemite National Park, I mean, that does look like people, maybe not CGI, but it does kind of look like even people in like stilts walking with bed sheets on. It's not as weirdly fluid and ghost-like as the original footage.
Yeah, it kind of leaves you with kind of conflicted thoughts because it actually shows you, first of all, how much of a fake that second video is. It's immediately visible as a hoax.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it shows you that if the other one's a hoax, it's an awesome hoax.
But yeah, exactly. I think that's what the team at Fact or Faked were trying to get across as well is, you know, from interviewing Jose, he seems so honest about the situation and so scared of the whole ordeal that they said if it was faked, Jose was tricked.
Right. He was in on it. He wasn't in on it.
Yeah.
He was getting the wool pulled over his eyes.
Exactly. And then it leads to a whole nother line of conversations where, if this team of experts couldn't replicate the footage to a certain degree of accuracy, how complex must the original setup have been if it was faked? I mean, it didn't necessarily look like CGI. And that's someone who has used CGI in their life before. Granted, yes, the fact that the footage is video recordings of a video recording would definitely helps to mask any wires or any sort of trickery that was used. You would also think that a news station sent out to get video capture from someone would know how to duplicate footage on a VHS tape.
If you're in the business of taking tapes off strangers,
yeah,
you know how to do it.
Yeah.
You have the gear.
You'd think so. So it's a little strange that this was the way that the footage had to be captured. Also, a lot of the footage online is a video recording of a projection at a paranormal conference of the footage recorded by the news team of the footage recorded by the CCTV camera.
2007, folks.
Yeah, so what you're seeing by the end is blurs and pixels. It's really not very clear at all. In reality, what we need is the actual video from the tape from Jose himself.
Yeah. So we're going to crowdfund to get Jose a high definition, a goddamn iPhone 11 Pro so he can telephoto zoom in on that cryptid.
That's it. And although he doesn't want his name or his family's name dragged into this situation, Jose Martinez, you're part of it. You're part of it, pal. So, kid, I've thrown a lot on your plate today. And I appreciate you hanging in there.
You didn't when you were about to fight me.
That was, I want to move past that. We had a little disagreement. And as I said, it turns out that footage was faked. Had I known that going in...
Of course you knew that.
Probably shouldn't have brought it up. It didn't help my case. But I like to show both sides of the coin because I'm an honorable man.
Fine, if you think that.
what are your thoughts regarding the Nightcrawler?
This is a pretty fantastical case. Therefore, it requires fantastical evidence. On the one hand, we've got that. It's pretty crazy to kick off this case with an absolute silver bullet piece of evidence from Jose. It really is worth checking out, folks. It's absolutely fantastic. It's very creepy. It's believable. But at the same time, there is enough reasonable doubt thrown in here with the second piece of footage and with less reputable sightings and witnesses of other run-ins with the Nightcrawler. There's definitely a threat of kind of people reading this online and wanting to have their own copycat kind of experience.
Yeah.
What almost clinches it for me is the kind of Native
Swamp world.
Absolutely, the swamp world.
Do it.
The Native American involvement in this. For people like these Native American folks who have absolutely no dog in the fight, who have no money on the table to come out and say, yeah, this is part of our history. We've known about them for a long time. They have nothing to gain from this, really. That's definitely fascinating to me.
Yeah. On that note,
here we go.
Ranker.com was the site that made the claims that they had links to the Native American history and
the swamp
and
world.
creatures and the swamp world. Googling that any further leads to absolutely nothing.
Right.
There's essentially no evidence to link them at all with any creature in Native American history. I have literally no idea where they got that information from. Any links to prove that were other sites claiming that other sites claimed that it was part of Native American history. So I'm very sorry to burst that bubble because it sounded like you were heading towards a yes. And I feel like I kind of pulled the rug out from underneath you.
Okay, well, they didn't have any written evidence, but, the Native American people, that's an oral tradition. So maybe that it wasn't online because they were orally telling each other.
I'm pretty sure
about
people followed this up and maybe did their own research into the Native American histories. And there is literally nothing. I can't stress this enough. There's maybe creatures in Native American history that can shapeshift. Not in Fresno.
Yeah. Oh.
So
I'm out.
Well, don't go out. That doesn't mean it's not necessarily true. It could be other things. What the did that guy say? An alien insectoid or some shit? That could be a thing.
He said it looked like... Usually when you say something looks like something, you have to give something that's commonly understood.
Right.
You can't say it looks like and then insert a word that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah, because extraterrestrial insectoid doesn't paint any pictures in my mind.
No.
What the hell is that?
At best, it's a cockroach in a UFO.
Exactly. He said it's either that or fairy people. And I would assume those are two very different things. One of them's got wings and a little wand. The other one is a daddy long legs from Mars. Which actually, now that I say it, could be the same thing. Because a daddy long legs with a little crown and a wand is pretty much a fairy. So that does actually make sense.
So, listen, I'm a little bit conflicted. Rory, what were you thinking about all this?
I think the link to Native American folklore was very much the life raft on this ship that is definitely is going down into the icy cold water.
Yeah.
Once that's taken away, there's not much more you can float on. Maybe a scrap of wood, a door if Leonardo DiCaprio is not using it.
Sure.
Yeah, without that link, it's one thing to say that, sure, this is something that, even when tested, can't be replicated by humans.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to question, okay, well, if this thing is real, what is it and why is it? It doesn't look like it's the ghost of anyone. It doesn't look like the place is haunted. It doesn't look like there's any reason for it to be there. It doesn't look like it knows what it's doing. It's literally a pair of legs walking aimlessly.
Where's it going? It turns out that was the best question of all.
Yeah, that was the one that they should have found out.
It doesn't have a motive, and that's why it's not real.
I kind of liked the idea of it just being like, whatever the hell they said, like a peace spirit.
Yeah.
It was trying to bring humanity together, even though it hasn't done anything. Or
it's mostly doing that by going for midnight walks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any reason for this thing to exist, which would lead me to believe that it doesn't exist.
It ain't real.
It's a double no, folks. For such a silly looking spirit, I'm surprised at how much I got into this story. I mean, it's not really.
I was in.
Yeah, like once you see this first footage taken by Jose, it really does open your mind. I feel like it's really hard to describe because it doesn't really look like anything we've ever seen before. So it's a hard one to tackle. But unfortunately, without just more information about what it is and why it is, it's going to be a double no this week.
Kind of shows you the power of a good video, even if it's a hoax.
Exactly.
It's like a video can kind of make you believe anything.
It's very true. So thank you to Nemo B for emailing in that suggestion to this Paranormal Life podcast at gmail.com. Guys, if you want us to investigate your paranormal stories, or you have a suggestion for us that you want us to check out, make sure to email them in and we will take a look at them. If you enjoy this show, if you enjoy tuning in every week for a new paranormal adventure, we don't run ads. We don't have sponsors. Nope. We keep it real. We don't want to be influenced by outsider media. All right? We can say whatever we want on this podcast. No consequences, baby. But the way that happens is through Patreon. Patreon.com, where you can support us directly for as little as $2 a month, where you get a shout out on the podcast. And for $5 a month, you get access to a whole backlog of incredible, exclusive paranormal investigations that's only available to our exclusive paranormal commune. To give you a little bit of an example of that sweet content, here's a clip from this month's bonus episode.
What are your immediate thoughts about Napoleon and his little red man?
First thing is, if this little son of a bitch is just showing up for anyone, where's he been my whole life to stop me from making my bad decisions? When I bought that exercise bike online for $2,000, I didn't see, a little red asshole telling me I was never going to use it.
Okay, well, it's kind of a different scale of problem, though.
When I did my one-man show on the West End, I thought that was going to run for 6 months, bombed week 1.
I mean, it was pretty amazing you got on the West End to begin with. That's quite a feat.
Well, it cost a lot of money. I had to sell my goddamn exercise bike for a start.
That's not a big fortune.
Where was he then to stop me, huh? I was booed off stage every night.
But, Napoleon was one of the greatest rulers the world had ever known. The scale of his problems were kind of bigger and more
Where
hundreds of
was the
thousands
little
of men
red
died.
man when I opened up my Chinese restaurant?
You opened a Chinese restaurant?
I had no business doing that.
Of course not. You don't know the first thing about China or food.
I had to buy the freaking thing with all the money I made from my one-man show.
You made money?
Yeah, I sold a couple tickets because people heard how bad the shit was. They couldn't believe the reviews.
Well, I know what you're saying, but...
The name? I'm glad you asked.
I didn't.
It's called All About the Benjamins, a one-man show starring Rory Powers.
Sounds so bad.
I play several men, all named Frank, chasing the Yankee dollar.
Yeah, I'm reading the Time Out review here. It says you open every act by turning to the audience, breaking the fourth wall and saying, "Allow me to be Frank."
It's pretty hard for a guy like me to make it in New York City, even if I am the president's only son. It's all about the Benjamins, it's all about chasing that money. I sold my exercise bike so I could make this show, so you better all like it or I'm gonna be pissed off.
Oh my God.
Boo. All right.
Stop.
All right. Just an
Jesus.
example of some of the hilarious moments we have on our bonus episodes.
We really keep all the good shit for those people, right?
It's so true. If you enjoyed that clip, definitely check it out. And if you do subscribe to our Patreon on the $2 tier, we'd like to give you a shout out at the very end of our show. So, thank you to
Marco Vieira.
They call him Marco the Sharko. Because just like the water beast, he cannot live on the land.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have any of the cool traits of a shark, like the teeth or that killer instinct. But
he just has the wrinkled skin you get in the bath from being in the water too long.
Yeah, he's more of they should call him Barnacle Marco, because he's really just a crusty old sea dog rather than a shark. But hey, somehow he gets the podcast out at the ocean, and we're glad to have you on board. Please don't come on board though, you'll die, Mark.
Thanks also to Samantha Lightfield.
Move over, Buzz Lightyear. We've got Samantha Lightfield. Samantha Lightfield to the rescue. People don't know it, but it was actually the North Korean version of the Buzz Lightyear toy that didn't so much explore the galaxy as conquer it.
Right.
Quite viciously. Didn't have a laser arm, but a knife.
Yeah.
It was quite a brutal toy to sell to children. I believe it was discontinued. Somehow, Samantha Lightfield made it all the way to this podcast, and we're glad to have her.
Thanks also to Puddle White. Puddle White sounds suspiciously close to a swamp-dwelling white nightcrawler.
That's true. That's very true.
Pretty interesting that you decided to show your face right after we said you didn't exist.
Yeah.
Wish we'd had this piece of evidence during the show.
Ballsy move, you night-crawling bastard. I didn't even know that our podcast made it to the Swamp World. But hey, that's pretty cool. We don't get Swamp World metrics.
No.
Or like subscriber numbers or anything like that. So that's kind of cool.
I was trying to think where they keep cash, but I guess they are walking trousers, so their pockets are pretty deep. Thanks also to Lee Jaffray. Lee Jaffray lives in a cafe. He doesn't eat or drink, really. He drinks coffee nonstop.
Whoa.
He's
But what if he's in the If he's in a cafe, presumably they have like snacks and things.
Oh yeah, he
Like
could.
baked
He
goods.
could get like a nice croissant or a nice quinamant or a nice croque monsieur or
So
a
I'll
nice yeah. It's a French cafe, of course. Keep up, but
Or a nice enchilada, or a nice quesadilla.
I don't think it's a cafe.
Like, what
anymore.
kind of cafe is this?
He's at the Disneyland cafe where they sell food from all around the world. Yeah, he's like, you know, the philosopher Voltaire.
Yes.
He like famously drank something like 50 cups of coffee a day.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Lee is putting him to shame. He's on a keen 97.
My
looking to
God.
break the 100. It's not even a Guinness World Record. No one's come close. But we're rooting for you, Lee.
Good luck.
Thanks also to Rick.
They call him Rick the Stick in the Mud from Swamp World. That's right. We
Oh,
have another
back to
Swamp
Swamp
World
World.
resident.
Wow. We must
Rick-
have like entered the charts in Swamp World recently because we got a bunch of new Swamp patrons.
They are pouring in with their swamp dollars, which is very nice, but as I established earlier, that's mud.
It is. But in this post-Brexit economy, we will take all the mud dollars we can get.
So thank you, Rick.
Thanks also to Jordan Tucker. Jordan Tuck lives in the muck. That's right, yet another Swamp World patron. However, he does have a human first name, so it seems like he emigrated to the world of the swamp.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting. And look, if you don't want to give us any of your swamp money, we'll settle for a couple of mud pies. Because we are hungry. That's right.
I could go for a little dessert right now for
Me
sure.
too, buddy. Send them our way.
Thanks also to Tobias Endres.
Kit and I have decided that we want to do an investigation live from the heart of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yep.
And Tobias is going to fly us. All right, we're going to hop on that plane and we're going straight into the belly of the beast. I asked him point blank on the runway, can you fly a plane? Before he could even answer, I said, doesn't matter, you son of a bitch. We don't need wings where we're going. He didn't seem to want to board. We had to kind of push him in.
He's 15.
He's
also.
15 years old.
So the chance that he's got his pilot's license is almost zero.
Yes, but we know the Bermuda Triangle isn't cruel enough to take a child's life. So we're bringing him with us as sort of like
you
a protective
say isn't
shield.
cool enough?
Is it badass enough to take a child's life?
So we are selling tickets right now to the Bermuda Triangle live show. There is a pretty generous cancellation policy on those tickets because, let's face it, we're never making it out alive.
That's true.
But needless to say, it's not a show to be missed.
No, if you do want to come, just grab your own child, grab a flight, and head on over.
Thanks also to Roberto Smoothman.
Roberto Smoothman, the most prickly ass, rough son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life.
He's a cactus of a peasant.
He's a pineapple with eyes. He is a sharp, prickly individual. So pointy and awkward. He was actually evicted from the Swamp World for being just too uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah,
The swamp's a really big place. That's pretty bad.
I know. So I guess he's here back in the human realm. But still supporting us on Patreon, which we appreciate.
Thanks also to Leah Riley.
I Riley like this girl. I Riley do. Of all the swamp people in Swamp World,
Yeah.
she's by far the muddiest.
Yeah.
But I feel like if there was any person from Swamp World that I could promote to Human World, because they're below us, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think it'd be Leia.
I agree.
Riley?
I Riley agree. Thanks also to Brianna Poole.
Brianna Poole, captain of every swim team she's ever been on. Did the butterfly stroke perfectly out of the womb to be born. This girl is the Michael Phelps of Swamp World. That's right, I bigged her up, but she is still a goblin in Swamp World.
Of course, and so nowhere near the speeds of Michael Phelps, of course, because Phelps gets to swim in water, but the swamp people have to swim in a swamp.
Swamp mud, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty hard. If they actually made it to the Human World where they could swim in water, they'd probably be the best in the goddamn country.
Yeah, pretty yoked.
But that's why we have to banish her to the Swamp World.
Yeah.
But hey, you're doing great work down there. I'm glad you're enjoying the podcast.
Thanks also to Model and Zen. You know, I like the approach of instead of having a name, just calling yourself the things you want to be.
Yeah.
A Model and Zen.
Pretty chill about the whole situation.
But also a smoke show.
Yeah.
By all accounts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you'd be pretty zen if you were a goddamn 10 out of 10.
Of course.
You don't have that many problems when you're that gorgeous.
You're not gonna want to be a Uggo and Zen.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm model level, but I'm angry as shit
Right.
at everything, frankly.
Sure.
So I need to work on the zen bit.
If I had to choose,
Yeah.
yoked and a pimp.
So not zen, still pretty angry.
Yeah, I don't care about being angry. I'm fine with that. That's been my whole life, so whatever.
I just want to be hot and still angry.
Thanks also to Scott Littlewood.
Scott Littlewood is a name you can trust, you know? It's not intimidating, it sounds pretty friendly. You know,
Sure.
Scott Littlewood.
That seems like an upstanding guy.
Yeah, that's why I think they trusted him with the contract to the Forest Services, even though he was the owner of the largest lumberjacking company in North America.
What?
Yeah, it turns out Littlewood was like, I want the woods to be as little as possible.
I want them to be stumps.
So they gave him the keys to the forest, essentially.
That's insane.
And he cut it down day one. He was like...
The whole thing?
The whole thing. He's like, well,
He's serious.
my name's Littlewood, and now, yeah, it's pretty little. It's goddamn kindling. But of course, he made $1 billion off the deal, and now here he is giving it back to the people who supported him, so...
We got him into government?
We voted Littlewood, that's right.
Holy shit. I don't regret a thing. Thanks last but not leastly to Andrew Steen.
Andrew Steen took my goddamn spleen.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we were walking down an alleyway in downtown Los Angeles, and he said, hey, you want to see a cryptid? And I said, sure, what do you got? He took me down the back of an alley and clobbered me only over the head with a glass bottle.
Wow.
I come to with a 10-inch scar from my neck to my nuts.
That's only 10 inches?
And I could... I don't even need to feel around. I can feel it the second I come to. My spleen's gone.
Are you serious?
He jacked it straight out of my
from your
butt.
neck to your nuts. He had carte blanche to every organ available.
He's a good guy at heart. He could have taken my heart. He could have taken my lungs, but he went for the spleen. He means well.
No, he doesn't. He almost killed you.
I'm sure he had his reasons. He's a good guy, really.
I think he just sold your organ.
That's fair. He probably needed the cash.
He doesn't. He's giving it back.
He's pretty big into meth. That usually is why he needs a lot of money sometimes.
Well, I guess that means he needs money.
Yeah. So thank you, Andrew, for listening to the podcast. And thank you to everyone that we shouted out. If you're waiting on your shout out, it's just around the corner. Don't worry about it. We're on it, guys. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of This Paranormal Life. Unfortunately, 2 no's this week, but hell, I can feel that yes right around the corner. We will see you next week, folks, for a brand new episode of This Paranormal Life.